Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to an installment pretty long in the making. For the way we work around here, pretty long in the making. And because it's that long in the making, it came from the live stream. It's a little bit, it came from the parts bin. It is all inclusively, it came from the workbench, volume 43. And you might be saying, well, where's volume 42? We will get to that quite literally later. As I said, a couple weeks started in the live stream, then occurred in the live stream again. This vehicle, this gentleman right here, pulling it out of frame, has been built, basically completely built 3 times to get to where we are right now. And this is a day of questions and concerns when it comes to the impending ghost ride with the J Concepts Warlord on there. We can break down what we've got. So this is an Amazon chassis that occurs in a number of flavors. This is the very inexpensive flavor. This chassis is $55, including the body mounts, the skid, the gearbox. No links though. So I had to order a set of links, and then the rear links, the front links, so we had to cobble. And then figure out what shocks, figure out what drive shafts, go through all of that. I will say this here and now, this is a chassis for offset front pumpkin. Like, I don't think you can do it any other way. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's straight in the line. Well, at least with this gearbox. If you have something of a more of a center output gearbox, like say if you put a Stealth X or something like that in there, and it is typical pattern, it gives you 2 mounting options, actually 3 mounting options, and you can have it mounted either way. If you were going to opt to put a different gearbox in this, I believe a Stealth will fit. I've got one right here. Let's see. So that would be... that's the thing. It's going to be real tight. So to get this thing out on the rocks today, we're running Traxxas GTS converted to small spring. These are deluxe springs for DriveTech. These are the soft 0.8 pounds. They may indeed still be too firm because we did throw them on the scale. We didn't do a full balance for a number of reasons. I don't know if the wheel-tire combo is going to be correct. I don't know if the springs are going to be correct. Link mounting positions, none of it. I think that there's definitely work required because the little tiny, look at this little diminutive fellow, the little tiny gearbox is a nice mount, and it's nice and... Okay, I don't know what... Oh, I got a drive shaft out of phase. Wait. No, I'm alright. I don't know what that... What is that? Do I have a drive shaft out of phase? It doesn't look like it. Anyway, there's no overdrive, underdrive in that gearbox. So, this vehicle has no overdrive, underdrive. We are dead 50-50. So, that could be a problem. The inserts in here are quite soft. Are they soft enough for something that weighs 2,153 grams ready to go? But worse, and it will be up over here in the corner, 5149 weight distribution, and so help me, unless I got the scale pads out of order, how is this vehicle 5149? Geometry doesn't work both ways. It works in all ways. So whatever the link positions that we landed on for the lengths of the links, and also like we should be sitting down here. So the CG is going to be pretty bad. But we rewind back again. Oh, I'm sorry. 5842. Okay, well, you're looking at it. It's 5149 cross. It's 5842. It's 5:45 in the morning. It is that time of year. We have to get out here and we have to record very early because the overnight low was 76. So this is what happens. I will be awake presumably before the end of the video. 5842, you know what? I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. We still don't have overdrive. We still have a lot of unknown quantities. I don't know why in the air. See? Oh, also, yes. The most unknown of the quantities. Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm assuming that you've watched both live streams. This gentleman is the zombie. Why is he the zombie, you ask? We've got an OMG 80 kg direct power servo, which basically died on the servo tester during the servo test for it. It made a series of horrifying noises. It's got a little Geiger counter. Let me get it right in the microphone. It doesn't do it when it's lifted. There it goes. Tell me that's not a Geiger counter. It made a series of horrifying noises that would ordinarily indicate the death of a servo, but I mean, it sounds like a 9i mod now, but it still works. The motor installed in here is a 2000 kV blue Three Brothers yellow jacket, which was installed in a buddy of mine's TRX4 and overheated to the point where you could not physically touch it. Like if you went like that, you'd go, Hi! Very hot. So the magnets have lost a little bit of their magical pixie, but appears to work. The Holmes Crawlmaster V3 was sent in from a viewer for a build that is ongoing in the canyon, and nothing we could do would make it work with the equipment on that build. It would go like this. As soon as you plugged it in, the servo would go berserk, and it would actually do a little bit of, it would like, and then glitching like I've never seen. So I dug through the surplus of stuff that we have here, and things that are mostly dead. It's not a mostly dead receiver. That's a perfectly fine receiver. But I don't know. We've got a collection of things that are potentially a problem. The suspension has zero, let's see. No. There's no, when it sits, there's no droop at all. It just sits at full height. We get, from the weight, I don't know, 5 millimeters in the front. I don't have springs light enough to get this thing down, and I can only lay the rears down one more hole. What I'm saying here is that we've got problems. We came out to a weird, the wheelbase is just under 310, but I gotta hold it down in the middle. At full compression, like 313. So it compresses to about 313, which is how we got it under the 313 body. I do like, speaking of the chassis, I do like the use of the TRX4 body mounts. They are robust. I had extras. That is what I used to mount the electronics in the front. Just did a direct wire there. Got it on the first try, too. It is pretty quiet. We've got a Mias. It was the longest I could find on Amazon drive shaft, and then the shortest that I could find, a glow-backed in the front. See, I don't think it'll notch upside down. There's a little... I see it. Was anybody curious as to where the noise was coming from earlier? There we go. Right there. The screw. So you see the lock nut on the outside of the rail? That screw, right? I'm trying to get a white behind it. I'm trying to get a backdrop. Clack, 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 clack. That rod end is pretty close to the chassis, so that's why it doesn't do it when it's on the bench. So we're gonna get some clicks and some clacks. I'm mentally running through how to fix that. So what are we looking at? no underdrive, overdrive. Springs that are way too stiff. Me wasting time making excuses for why the handling of this is potentially going to be subpar. I got all the tires on the correct directions. That's something. But weeks, literally weeks. Oh yes, and I was unwilling. I had to re-drill these because where the shock towers are, I mean, have you seen body posts? These body posts are in the windshield practically. So Traxxas body posts have holes longitudinally like this. So I had to drill these through that way. That does compromise the durability, as we now have a plus-shaped hole through it, so there's not a lot of meat left. But I think we'll be okay. It's a looker. He looks good. We are going to absolutely stuff Lexan here. Could this guy potentially be a recipient for Class 1 megalithics, Class 1 tusks, something like that? Absolutely, because I think they would fit phenomenally. But this is the outfit for the Ghost Ride. I would not be upset if his everyday tire turns out to be deep woods. That would be absolutely great. I think that this is a fact-finding expedition as much as it is anything, because we're going to find out what worked and what didn't work. We're going to get a little shakedown of the $55 chassis, because coming up in the future, let me walk over here dramatically and get this box. So, remember how I said that this chassis comes in a number of flavors? If you buy the Kuwu flavor, you get everything. Links, a completely different gearbox with different skid, but you'll notice, familiar? Yeah, it's right under there. Is it the same? No. These have little cutouts in the towers. But that is the same rail. These has a higher shock tower. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that is future stuff, but we're gonna get to see, because there's those long links. We're gonna get to see. That's the same exact. This is the deal. This is how they do. This is how it works. They just gather parts and they stick them together, and we get the same thing that's a completely different thing. So we're going to find out how the $55 version does, which is inarguably slapdash cobbled together over the span of about 3 weeks. And then we're going to, shortly after, because I have another set of F10 axles, we're going to build another one. Did I mention that it has F10 axles? It has F10 axles. We've gone servo and axle for it. The other one might be chassis mounted steering, because the chassis mounted steering pieces are really well thought out. I just didn't want to deal with it. Oh, I forgot. Okay, so his name is the Zombie because some of the electronics are a little questionable. He definitely fulfills the zombie thing. I can't figure that out. There is no amount of play in the rod ends and what have you to explain that. And it doesn't go away in the rear. Look at the links move. I don't know. He's the wiggliest. Yeah, buddy. He's a shaky bones. He's a shambling man. We made a zombie, everybody. Now we're going to find out. And that was the question. Will this be a 28 Days Later zombie? Will this be a Walking Dead zombie? Oh, no. 2,000 kV through straight axles? Final drive on this is going to be in the... I'm doing that thing again. 3.75, and they claim 10.5 on the gearbox. 39 3/8 to 1. 39.375 to 1. That with a 2,000? Spicy! We're going to see. When are we going to see? Now. Here's a little zombie chatter. That's the highlight of my day. The sun's not all the way up yet, and that's the highlight of my day. Finding that screw hitting that drive shaft to explain the click to me I would have thought of nothing but the click the entire time we were here. So that out of my head is great. Also, 2,000, yes, he is very fast. Let's see if he can do his party trick here. No, too slidey. On any grippy surface, he does a fantastic stoppie. And with the fitment of the body, he does a stoppie to the point where he just stands up, like straight up. We'll do a handstand. The springs just bouncing all over the place. So even with how soft the inserts are, 2153, under 2,200 grams is, I mean, that's very, very light, and zero lightening efforts made. Zero weight increasing efforts made as well. He's got some Injora brass knuckles, which I think are in the 60 or 70 gram each range. Did manage to get, as you may have saw, the servo onto the battery. So battery on servo on axle. Let's see how 0-0 does. Because 0-0 is just the tendency for the nose to rise. Yeah, look how high. I mean, would it be nice if that sat down a little bit? It really would. I'm not a artificial droop guy, run the no springs guy, but I gotta tell you, like, I'm not feeling. Okay, what I am feeling is F10 steering circle. This guy's got the turn in. I'm not feeling any suspension action. We are skateboarding today. So the only suspension, the only compliance we're getting is from the insert in the tire. Now the geometry, weird. There's a little bit of compression. The geometry, weird as it might look, it's definitely working. And because we are skid so far forward, let me try the. Yeah, but you can see the baba. But then F10s. That could probably actually come in a little tighter. The low is respectably good. Like with his breakover, just point right up here. Seeing a little suspension action there, nice. I don't know what we're hung, but we're hung up on something. There we go. Right in that moment. I would hope for a little bit of overdrive, underdrive. That little skidder to the side. So the fact that his turning circle is as good as it is on 0, and he doesn't appear, look at that. That's that skid forward stuff. Yeah, it's, okay. We figured out the click before we came outside. We knew he's all the way up. He's all the way up, maximum clearance. We're sitting monster truck status, which also means not a lot of Lexan noises. The 50-50 isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be because those F10s will still pull you around. And I think most notably, I still cannot believe that I got the cross numbers and the 4 aft numbers confused in my head. Now, typically, I like to be, oh, hold on, breakover test. Hold on right here. Skid will go over no problem. Oh, yeah. Ordinarily, I like to get to around 20%. 20% is going to be a tough get in this guy, sticking with that gearbox, etc., etc. I'm definitely gonna do a little a look-see. I think it puts the motor on the. No, it puts the motor on that side. What I'm getting to here inside my head that I guess I should share with you is, can I fit an OD3 in there? If I can, I have a loose OD3, not fitted. I also have a too-low. I don't think a too-low will fit in there. This guy has a really skinny skid, and the too-low really benefits from a really wide skid. But if I can get an OD3 in there, that'll give us 18% rear underdrive, because at the amount of wheel speed that we have, putting an overdrive gear in the front axle is just not an option. What we are learning, above perhaps potentially anything else, is that, and this makes sense actually because of, I'm thinking back to TRX 4 times long gone by. The Deep Woods doesn't mind overdrive, underdrive splits up to that around, you get to that 18-20%. They love it at 0. This tire is actually a pretty good choice for a setup that has no overdrive, underdrive split. I mean, we have to get our first roll out of the way. So, no we don't. No we don't. You ain't coming for me. Oh yeah, wait, hold on. Let me get right over here. We'll get edge of frame. Alakazut. I don't mind the way he sits. The body has a fairly, like, it looks like torque twist, but it's not. It's just it's frame dive is what I would call it, because there's so much slop in the front and rear end, and we've had a discussion. This discussion went on partially in the live stream, and I've also talked about it in the Discord in the past, which is chassis rigidity. What'd it do? Like, does it matter? Do we benefit? Now, it is uncontrolled, right? Because this guy has definitely got not just flex of the chassis, but he's got suspension walk. Now, pulling that with no underdrive, overdrive, this is pretty good. That's pretty good. I will harp on the fact that I'm most impressed by the turn-in, the steering performance. Yeah, there's just this, like, it looks like slippy slidey times, but it really isn't slippy slidey times. It's one axle is pushing too much in that instant or pulling too much in that instance. This is what aggressive-ish rock crawling at 0% overdrive underdrive looks like, if anyone was curious. And it's not, it's not bad. I think even sitting at this height, I think that due to the nature of the super skid forward, I think the side hill is going to look pretty solidly okay. Being able to see everything yaw and bounce around through the clear body is truly entertaining. Yeah, okay, so came off that little point of that rock way bad, not good. Little slippy there. Are we going to crab walk this? Like, so I'm feeling the drive split, sure, and we're one-hander. Let me frame over here. One-hander. Yeah, even with the no tune, even with the sitting too high, that's the advantage of 0-0. Any amount of underdrive, overdrive is going to negatively impact side hill. This is what we're talking about. It's all compromise. What are you giving in exchange for what are you getting? Look at that clearance in the middle, sitting at this height. Like, you could drive a smaller vehicle straight through that hollow under him, and the ability to turn this in right here on 0%. If this is the roll maneuver. No, it just keeps it down. And that was turning down the hill, which should have destabilized. We don't have maximum forward drive right here. You can see it's not lug, it's not chatter, it's just wheel spin. We're getting the spin because cross weight is transferring. It's moving weight from one corner to the next. Not optimally. We can't take advantage of it. So we're looking at what happens without an abundance of traction. And you know what? That's kind of okay, because what we're also not seeing, thanks to the 0-0, is we're not seeing an overabundance of traction at one end or the other. The front and the rear aren't fighting each other because it's 50-50. So some small takeaways. It's never always bad. Sometimes things are okay. And this is why, honestly, lightweight is just kind of a pain in the tuchus. Ordinarily, like, okay, well, let's do that entry again and see. Need to reset the suspension a little. Okay, watch that rear corner. We're gonna go. Okay, we cycled in now. We came in. Oh, I can't get it to hang in the air again.
Suspension is cycling now. Ordinarily, we're not looking at anything lighter than a 0.8. A 0.8 pound spring is light. I feel like there's a spot. Oh, also he got no dry slide, no smooth, no nothing. Just quite literally a dry assembly. So the squeaks, after some kicks in the dust, the squeaks are gonna come. I was worried that the tail of that body was gonna hang out too far. It's okay, it's all right. I don't know if I would, there it is. We got our first one. I almost, you saw the wheels turning. I almost just tried to self-right him. But springs-wise, I don't have it. Any weight, and honestly, come on. So we have the, actually that big squeak on the reverse, that might be the upper suspension link screw just angrily rubbing against that front drive shaft. Definitely going to try the OD3 because that would just solve a lot of problems. We get 18%. Now, if we're doing a capsule review of this gearbox, I can't help but say positive things about it because they are inexpensive. They are very small. They are very light. They come with an 8-tooth pinion. 8. And there's not really any room to put anything else. I tried to put a 10 in it, wouldn't fit. So basically this gearbox, if you're going to run this gearbox, hopefully you're buying your motor after you get the rig put together. You find out your final drive that it's like 40-1. I would not be putting a 2000 in it. So this is kind of what they would call a portal box. 10.5 in the box. Total is not huge. I would call this a portal box. I don't think it's overwhelmingly suited to straight axles. But it does have enough reduction in it. Yeah, I speak of 10.5 to 1 reduction as if it's a tiny little amount. The internal reduction in a Rift box is 1.2 to 1. I want to say that a TRX4 stock box, which relies heavily on the portals, is also around that 1.2 to 1 range. I mean, even something like a 3-gear is 2.4 to 1, then spur and pinion, which will get you into this sort of 10.5, 11 to 1 range. A Stealth is going to get you much higher. That's 2.6. Pinion to spur ratio is usually almost in the 6 to 1 area. So you're talking like, I think it's high 11s to 1, so there's more reduction because all of the Element vehicles are straight axle. We are definitely out here on a tangent. I would say that this is a portal box. Is this a portal chassis? I don't know if portal chassis is a thing. Getting the big breakover on straight axle is nice. It's really nice. So honestly, big skids forward, getting that big breakover, I think that benefits straight axles more than it does portals because portals are going to bring you that breakover another way. He does not quite have it. And I see why. This is that situation where I mentioned on the side hill you get a positive because the rear axle's not fighting the front. When we get on that flat where that passenger rear is right now, it's driving too hard. So it's causing weight to transfer in a way. It's throwing the weight to the driver front and we need weight transferred to the passenger front. So we can't pull. We can't get right here. That little hop in the rear, that hop is all coming from the rear and not from the front. All right, 2 rollovers, and then we move somewhere else. Again, we'll just, you go over and then boop. I put the front tire up in. Oh, I desperately, just a little, if this guy had 10% split front to rear, I would be sitting here going, if it just had 10 more percent, yeah. Gotta try to get an OD3 in there, which will also sit nice and flat, but I think I have to fabricate a new adapter plate for it. Yay, that'll be fun. Will it fit in the skid? That is the real question. Also, we made indoor excuses. We can make outdoor excuses as well. I don't really know how to drive lightweight. 2200 is lightweight. We typically around here build, and mind you, again, 0 efforts at weight reduction. Probably running about between a 750 and 800 gram total for the wheel set. So think of that. That means that of this vehicle's entire weight, over a third of it is wheel and tire. And then skid forward is also going to help contribute to that stability or amplify that stability. Again, there's a spot where I'd like a little more. Don't pinstripe it too much. You driving skid forward, I'm sort of starting to get the hang of driving skid forward. Get used to it occasionally just throwing a wheel up in the air, because the rear links do have all of the leverage. So cross weight is going to amplify at times. A little catch there. That descend is great. Here I am sitting thinking, okay, aside from a tune and a gearbox, what are the changes? I don't know if this guy needs more weight on the front axle. I think 5842 is pretty solid. That's really good right there. Did I just, okay, for a split second, did I just think, oh man, a slider right there would have helped that out? I might have, but you know, I shake my fist at the sky when it comes to sliders. That wide out right there, look how, I mean, he looks good. He looks good. Would I have pulled that around with some torque split? I think so. F10 is doing what it can. Yeah. Honestly, the amount of weight from the combo had not really actively occurred to me. So we've got that. That's driver rear is over driving because it's a little bit bound up, and we're getting that wiggly wag. There we go. Got it out of the hole. Here's the deal. I think I just have to get the skid over. We got to get into that open, into that waspy waist. There we go. Really, like, what's the adjective I want? Composed. Really composed. Composed to the point. Also, angry Lexan noises, not nearly what I thought we were going to encounter. Composed to the point where I can see and isolate the individual shortcomings like very quickly and very easily. I can tell what I want. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I can tell what I want here. I'm really enjoying this speed control mounting with the blinky lights right there at the cowl. It's nice. The Three Brothers 2000, you'll see if I get to a spot like right. You see that little roll out? Like I said, that motor was as hot as a frying pan. Magnets are not huge fans of great amounts of heat. In fact, if you take a blowtorch and hit a magnet with it, you can just turn that magnet into a non-magnet. So what this motor is successfully doing is genuinely pretty impressive. We are going to get some underdrive, overdrive in this. We are going to figure out something about the springing, though, and I think there will be some that agree. I mean, it's suboptimal, yes. It's not awful. I would just like the suspension to be a little more behaved. And we've got 90s on there. Would I consider unsprung desert lizards, full droopers? For this guy, maybe. He's really, really light. And we're kind of at the opposite end of it right now. We're skateboarding. We're operating with no compression unless we get into a real flex area. This is a tough shot right here. Will it have enough? That breakover is pretty good. The maneuverability is there. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to do by hook or by crook. And oh no, please let the drive shaft outputs come out in the same spot so that we don't mess up the whole front end. I want to try to get an OD3 in it, if just to get the 18%, to get the 18% of the front. And there's a much broader gearing range. I think you can go 9 to 17 tooth in an OD3. So I'll try to get something lower in there, maybe drop it down a little bit. But that's for the next one. For a ghost ride, we had 2 tip overs, but no slidey bang bangs because I wasn't going near Mount Tumbledore, which is just over off to the side. I do have to paint that thing, and we're gonna go full thematic, man. As ugly as we can get, because he's the zombie warlord, so we need like greens and reds and browns and anyway, and also not bright silver wheels. Come on, we will do some stuff. We'll bounce around. We have way too many projects ongoing at the same time. Such is the Canyon way. We love it because variety is the spice of life. Is it not? That's what's crazy about these little toy cars. You can just keep building them. And when they roll off the bench and you haven't even started to put your own stank on it, they all have their own personalities. This guy weighs 2,153 grams. I've got another lightweight in there who has a much uglier body. It is a radically different driving experience. Radically. It's fun. And we're having fun. And I had a great time. Did we get a net sum good? No. Did we have an overall positive ghost ride experience? 100%. In terms of angry Lexan noises, I barely heard any. The worst we got was the click-clack from that screw rubbing the drive shaft. Now, when I lower it, we're going to mess that up. So do we lower it? I don't know. That's why I try not to do It Came From the Workbench installments back to back, like on 2 consecutive days, because I'm too inside the problem. I will overthink it, or I will underthink it, and I will make a bunch of changes and then be like, oops, I did it again. So, you know what we've done again? We've made another one of these. So at the close of that, we do what we always do, which is where I thank you so much for watching. I invite you to tune in for the next one. I at least suggest that in between now and when we meet again, you one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the canyon. The zombie, it's a tiny little plane with one engine. The zombie did, I would call it, pretty okay. But, oh, look, we framed this out. Oh, that's stability down. We'll spin it around here over a little bit. Ignore the trash can and fallen trees. Okay. The question was, and I addressed it subtly earlier, is he a 28 days later zombie, the rage zombie, or is he like a Walking Dead type of zombie? Oh no, he's the 28 days later kind.